so it's our show, Music and Coffee with Chelsea Beth, and we are at the Bean Cycle with Riley Ann right now, and she's going to show us one of her original songs. And this is a sort of an exciting special episode because we are promoting the Cat Calls official blend for Bean Cycle, Riley Ann's band. Yeah, so this is the Vanna White demonstration. And also want to give a shout out to my awesome t-shirt that Callie Mitchell got me. It says be amazing, but first coffee. So we had to rep that today.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, yeah. I'm like, where's my coffee? But yeah, and shout out to the folks at Bean Cycle for letting us do this here. So so what song are you going to play for us today, Red?
Well, this is the next single the Cat Calls are actually releasing this Saturday here at Bean Cycle from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. along with our awesome coffee release. This tune is called I Get High, and even though you can't get high from the coffee, you can get a caffeine high. And if you come here, they're going to have bags of coffee available, and you can also get it with CBD, so that's fun. So this tune is called I Get High. It's going to be on the Cat Calls record that is coming out October 17th at Pinball Jump.
Up even without the coffee. That was awesome.
Well, I'm drinking decaf because I'm an old lady. If I drink coffee after like 1 p.m., I can't sleep at night.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 34.
I'm 30.
Yeah. There's something that happens
after.
I don't know what it is. Like in college, you like go to like Country Kitchen or Perkins or something at like midnight. You're like, let's drink coffee. Okay, I'm gonna go and go to sleep. No problem. And now I'm just like a basket case if I drink caffeine after like 1 p.m.
Yeah, no, seriously. You know, I used to think when I was in my mid-20s and people would say that, like, just wait till you're 30. I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. And I love it when, like, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like people in their 20s will reassure me, you're still young. And I'm like, you are.
You're
it's
so
just hilarious.
sweet.
Yeah, anyway, but no, great song. And I'm just kind of curious about the story behind it. Like I have some guesses, like just hearing, and hearing the energy put into it, the driving, kind of dancey rhythm, but I kind of want to hear your take on what inspired this song. What's the story behind it?
Well, it's funny. Sometimes, you sit down and you're just like, I'm just gonna write a song for the sake of writing a song, and then you write the song, and then you realize the lyrics that came out. You're like, oh wow, that's like some brutal truths that like I'm dealing with in my life, and that kind of happened with this song. I just hadn't sat down to write a song for a while. I was dog sitting for a friend last summer, and I was like, I'm just gonna write a song. I'm gonna write a blues tune. I'm gonna write with my slide maybe. And I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna like fill in these lyrics or whatever. And so I wrote it, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I started playing it. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. I kind of like this. And then kind of in retrospect, something I'm really trying to unlearn from myself is like, when I was younger, I do remember my mom being like, Riley, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself, And, there's always times in life that like reaffirm things that we've heard when we were younger and help strengthen that. Even though there's other things that like counter that, there's something that like really reinforces that belief. And so that's something that I'm trying to like unlearn, that I don't have to do everything, And
Like just doing everything in general, or?
Yeah, I mean, just like all the things. Like a lot of times I have a tendency to, when I jump into something, like I'm really running for it, and it's like, feeling like I need to like do all of the things, and I mean, sometimes you can just like let go, and I'm trying to like learn how to let go of some things, but it's hard because when you're, in a band and about to release an album, there's a lot that needs to happen.
So that maybe that do everything comes in handy.
I mean, it totally does. I mean, it's served me pretty well in life so far, but it is pretty stressful. And
when are the times that you find it's not serving you?
Yeah, a lot of times when you're just kind of like so stressed out that you're kind of losing your brain, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm trying to do all these things, and then you're freaking out because you can't get everything done. And it's just like, not all of these things have to get done. Not all of these things need to get done like right this second and whatnot, but generally speaking, it serves me well. There's just some times when like the stress is I'm already like a little high strung.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know. The song itself is mostly just like a fun kind of song. It's just kind of fun to like get into my slide, and it's super fun. The Cat Calls is like a blues rock band, and it's really fun to get into that on electric guitar, and like Dylan Good is our drummer, Dave Jensen, he's playing lead guitar, and we're actually playing more and more shows out. It's getting really busy, but
yeah, it looks like you're doing a lot,
yeah.
which is great. And I think too about you just said this song is kind of about letting go.
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel like it's true to what you're trying to kind of shift in your energy and your intention, or is that kind of just a coincidence?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a balance, because I still, the Cat Calls is like, I was talking to one of my friends, her name is Goddess, and she and I had this really great conversation about like the work that we do and like what's closest to our heart space. And I was like, really, the Cat Calls is the closest to my heart space.
Why is that?
Well, I think a lot of it's like, there's something really raw about songwriting, of like where it comes from. And I think a lot of it's internal, but a lot of it's also kind of channeled from this like, I don't know if you have that experience as a musician, but like this external force kind of channeling, and it's this weird blend of all of that. And it just feels like, I don't know, the sounds of your soul coming out, which is like kind of intense, to share that with people, but it's also super powerful to be on both sides of that, because there's a lot of bands that I love to go to, to see their live performances. The Velveteers are a great example of that. Cosmic Canvas is a great example of that. And you just like feel that, and it's super powerful on that end. But it's also super powerful on like the artist end of that, to be able to share that with people, and for people to like have that space to like receive that and be part of that with you.
What do you think it is about the project The Cat Calls that allows you to get into that soul depth for yourself, or to get into that space?
I've kind of had this musical journey of like, I started very much in the folk world. In the Midwest, a lot of people just know me as this like old-time fiddler, and a lot of people here just like can't even imagine that. But there's something about like making a lot of noise on an electric guitar and having drums like super powerfully beating behind you, and like the electric guitar, and it's like, and to get into that kind of energy, it's just like, I don't know, there's just
Something beautiful about it.
yeah, totally beautiful, and also it's like the romantic idea of like terrifyingly beautiful, you know, of that combination. It's like it's simultaneously like terrifying, but also like really amazing and incredibly beautiful to be part of that.
It sounds like a lot of pushing the envelope for you all.
Oh yeah, totally.
And doing a lot of really amazing projects. Like, I mean, the fact that you have a blend of coffee, that's just so awesome. And I'm kind of curious, you said you're from the Midwest. How did you make it out here? What's your story there?
So I taught high school English for 6 years in the Midwest before I moved out here. And I guess it's kind of a cliche story. I was dating a guy and moved out here, and then we broke up, and I stayed out here. But actually further back than that, like over a decade ago, I came here to Colorado on a 3-week road trip with my college. It was called the Western Field Trip. Rich Waugh is an incredible professor at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. He put together this 3-week camping trip. You camp your way across the United States and back to Wisconsin at national and state parks. And at that time, I had never been to a national park before. And I was in my early 20s. And it blew my mind. We went to the Grand Canyon, we went to Yosemite, Zion National Park. Oh my God.
So beautiful.
It's like, I'm pretty sure when we hear about the descriptions of like Eden, that's like, pretty sure this is
Babylon
it.
and all that mythical stuff. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I knew then, over a decade ago, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna move here someday. I don't know how or when or why, what's gonna lead me here, but it was like one of those, do you ever have like those moments of clarity? It's almost like Carl Jung type stuff.
Yeah, totally.
But it's like, yeah, my path is going to take me here at some point, and it's going to be right. And, it just worked out that way. I gave up my illustrious career as a high school English teacher and packed up all of my crap and moved out here. And I don't know, my dad always asked me, like, oh, you ever see yourself moving back to Wisconsin? I was like, Dad, I love you, and not anytime soon.
Well, you're doing a lot of great things here. I mean, I think about what you talked about. I was this old-time fiddler, and now I'm up here with these, other musicians, and we're making really powerful music. It just, to me, that shows an evolution, a journey. How has that felt for you? How has that process felt for you?
Well, I joke with some of my friends that I pulled a Dylan, but I mean, I still do play fiddle, and banjo. I have an Americana duo and all of those things. But I don't know. There's something. It's felt really good that I can just. It doesn't feel like I've just like switched directions and just gone a different route. It just feels like I've broadened my path, and it feels like, to me, the cat calls feels like my most like authentic voice in a lot of ways, but there's also some really kind of hard truths that come out of my songwriting in the acoustic side of things.
Do you mind sharing a little more about those hard truths?
Yeah, so I wrote a song called Tired of Running, and it was at a really hard time that I was having this spring. There was just like a lot of things happening, and like emotionally and physically, and like there was just a lot going on. It was just definitely just like a really hard time, really low point. And I sat down to write this song just to finish it. Again, not really thinking too much about it. And again, in retrospect, when I look back at the lyrics, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty raw, and that's pretty honest, and like pretty dark. But it's kind of how I was feeling, it's just like tired of running, of just, being an artist. You just sort of feel naked, you're just like sharing these like inner parts of yourself with the world, and sometimes the world just doesn't listen and doesn't really care, and it can really suck.
Sounds really painful. It feels painful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of artists can relate to that. And like I like to draw it back to like the feast or famine thing of like this working artist of, you know, it's not just like a financial thing. It's like feast or famine is like you have really high highs and you have really low lows. And I think that's the nature of like where art can really take you.
Do you find that songwriting's been a way to sort of help with those feelings or that pain, or what role does songwriting play in your emotional process?
Yeah, I think it does a lot, you know, not just like for me to process those things, but it's also been a really powerful way to connect with other people. I was just at song school in Lyons, Colorado, and like really had an intense connection with this woman that I had known for years. She's a great songwriter, and we knew of each other. We, kind of made small talk before. Her name's Kate Farmer. You should definitely check her out. But after we were in a workshop together, and I played that song, she came up to me and she's like, "I really felt that," and we had this really, really great like friendship just sort of blossomed. This woman that I'd known for years, basically since I moved here, but I didn't really know her. And I've also had that with like, I met this woman when I was on tour a couple years ago, and I gave her my album, and she reached out to me and emailed me. She's like, "You have no idea what your music has meant for me. I so relate to what you're talking about." And it just like, when I was reading that email, I was like sleeping in someone else's, just like someone's spare bedroom, like halfway across the country. And I just like read her email super late, shortly after she sent it, and I just started like crying. Because I was like, wow, like that matters. And there's so much that you don't hear when that does matter, but when it does, and people really share that to you, and it comes back at you, it's like tenfold what it is to just share that out.
Yeah. It's like uniting through suffering.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of camaraderie in that, not just artist to artist or musician to musician, just like, this whole like sort of nebulous human experience.
I was thinking too, just kind of full circle, coming back to what you were first talking about around doing. I think that even in the art world and being a musician, there can be a lot of emphasis, or like my value is in what I can do. Mm-hmm. And the slowing down can be hard, right? Because it's like, no, I have to be doing, I have to be like busy and constant. And I don't think just musicians experience this, but I was wondering if that was if that's your experience. Maybe I'm making an assumption here, but I feel like there's a lot of self-worth tied up in that, and doing enough, being enough.
Yeah. Totally, yeah, and it's constant, like the artist hustle is real. It's like, you gotta post on social media, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta book shows, you gotta write new songs, you gotta get a new record out, you gotta do all these things, you gotta design new posters. And but then there's also, we live in a capitalist society where it's like, it's very much your value in society oftentimes is measured by what is your productivity. And sometimes you just need to like not do anything and like take time for yourself, or go for a walk, or like Netflix and chill, you know what I mean? You need it all. Totally. And you need time to like decompress and, to process things emotionally and mentally, and sometimes just not process anything,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I love that that's sort of what you brought into this interview today, because that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and the doing, and then the piece that you're talking about, feeling alone and suffering, and music being sort of a way to get past that. It's just a really beautiful message. So, and your song is just so lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and bringing that energy and like that verve. I don't know. It was just like, I was like dancing. I couldn't sit still listening to it. So I'm just so excited. Yeah, so excited to for your party next Saturday.
This Saturday.
This Saturday, right. The 21st.
Yeah.
Yes.
From 11 to 1, right in the middle of the day on a Saturday, and yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to have, giveaways. We're going to have the full band. I typically play electric guitar in our shows, but because of the coffee shop vibe, I'm going to be playing acoustic guitar. But it's going to be super fun, and yeah, it'll be nice to like have some of my younger students that can't come to Pinball Jones next month, But yeah, it'll just be a super fun little party, and I hope people come out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, thanks for sharing with us, and we'll see you at the party.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching.